Employment prospects looking pretty good in the state of Georgia. Standing by in Atlanta, EBC's Philip Toledo has the details. Welcome to the program, Philip.
Thanks so much, Thomas. For the past 12 months, the unemployment rate here in Georgia has steadily dropped. In April, another 0.2 points were shaved off to bring the unemployment rate to 4.3%. That means in the last month, Georgia had the lowest unemployment rate of the 10 most populated states, or at least according to the governor's press release. Governor Brian Kemp stated, quote, "Our unemployment rate, which has declined for 12 straight months and remains below the national average, highlights the resilience of Georgia businesses and workers and the strength of our state's diverse economy. Georgia is open for business." Now, that last statement may sound a little bit familiar because that's what the governor kept saying a couple months ago when he rescinded pretty much all the pandemic era restrictions. Now, also last week, he announced that Georgia would stop participating in the federal COVID-19 unemployment programs in a bid to encourage those on unemployment to fill thousands of open jobs here in the state. According to the Georgia Department of Labor, the workforce in the state is steadily increasing, and currently about 239,000 jobs are posted on the state's employgeorgia.com website. Now, Thomas, that's tripled the amount of jobs from just about a year ago. Now, before we go, just a quick COVID-19 statistics update. Cases here in the Peach State continue to decline, with many of the populous counties here in Metro Atlanta at a case rate under 100 per 100,000 people. According to the vaccine dashboard of the Department of Health, almost 4 million residents have already received the first dose, which is about 38% of the population. However, 3.25 million have received both doses, or 31%. There's not a lot of difference between those two percentages. So it does appear that the vaccination rates are beginning to slow down, or at least just a little bit. In Atlanta, Georgia, Philip Toledo, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Thomas.
Philip, one thing I want to ask you is, did the Department of Labor break out what types of jobs? Like, are we talking minimum wage jobs, really skilled jobs, part-time versus full-time? Did they give you any indication about that?
They did, Thomas. I don't have all of the statistics right here in front of me, but I do believe that the majority of the jobs that are posted, a lot of them are in manufacturing. A lot of them are in the word escapes me at the moment, but infrastructure, construction. There we go. Manufacturing and construction, I think, are some of the big, definitely the big hitters.
So definitely some good income jobs there. But yeah, really overall, your report has a lot of good news about that downward trend in unemployment. Any recent developments from a business standpoint happening in your state?
Yes, Thomas. Actually, the last week, the governor announced several new companies setting up shop here in Georgia, such as FanDuel opening a tech hub and a new cryo freezer manufacturing site. Particularly, the governor keyed in on some new manufacturing facilities owned by Korean companies. In fact, South Korean President Moon Jae-in visited Georgia and an electric vehicle battery manufacturing facility owned by SK Innovation with the governor and the state's two Democratic senators on Saturday. Local media, Thomas, reported that the South Korean president promoted clean energy as well as the relationship between South Korea, the United States, and Georgia in particular. Thomas?
Philip, I noticed in one of those photos, someone not wearing a mask. What's the deal with masks now in Georgia?
That's you got a keen eye, Thomas. I noticed that myself. Everyone's wearing a mask except for one person. So yes, for a couple of months now, since the governor removed most, if not all, of the pandemic restrictions, it's been up to local governments and individual businesses to determine whether or not a mask is going to be required. And then with the updated CDC guidelines that came out within the last week or two, most major retailers, at least in the Atlanta area, are no longer requiring masks if you're fully vaccinated. Also, sporting venues like Truist Park, where the Braves play, they're operating to full capacity. And so it's starting to look, I don't want to say normal, Thomas, but we're on the way there, at least in Georgia.
Okay, but how do you feel about that, the relaxed guidance? You feel safe?
It's interesting, Thomas. I don't mind sharing that, that I'm fully vaccinated, and I've tend to follow the guidelines of the CDC throughout the whole pandemic. But I'll tell you, not wearing a mask after having to wear one or run back to your car to grab it when you go into the store, for the last, over 12 months, it feels a little weird, and it almost. I did it for the first time this weekend, as similar to what Anna was saying when, she went to a few shops, and, I'm vaccinated. The stores don't mandate it. The government doesn't mandate it, so I tried it out. And it was almost like, I went through everything to get vaccinated, and then for people to look at me like I'm an anti-vaxxer. Surprisingly, at least in my area, most people still wore their masks. And I don't know if that's because, only, according to the statistics, only about 3 in 10 are fully vaccinated, or if I'm just in that part of town where people are going to continue to take extra precautions. But it definitely felt a little weird going grocery shopping without a mask, Thomas.
I would imagine, like you say, after all these months, it becomes habit. And I just want to ask you, do you have any thoughts on the vaccine hesitancy or the vaccination rates slowing down in your state? Have you heard of anything that might be driving that?
I haven't heard anything specific here to Georgia. I know across, we could have the same conversation probably, pick any state or province or wherever, really in any part of the world. After the first initial rush of people in the high-risk categories and, people that were really eager, to get the vaccine, then the demand, it seems to almost have dwindled. I mean, look at how quickly, states and even the country as a whole got to the point where all adults and now even some children are eligible for the vaccine. It's just interesting to see the early adopters, if you will, and then there's still people that are hesitant. I know a lot of the focus now is on making access to the vaccine as easy as possible, because in the beginning, and if you take your average person on the street and they've got to go spend hours online trying to set an appointment, I probably wouldn't either. It's that ease of access, I think, that a lot of people are focusing on.
Certainly would discourage a lot of people. Thanks for joining us, Philip. Stick around for the roundtable a little bit later on in the program.
Thanks, Thomas.